Okay, let's get into it. I'm back for another episode of Out of the Box podcast. We are enjoying some sunny weather. I think I've touched on this the last few weeks when it's sunny in here. It is an absolute sauna. It is tough to exist in this office, but we had the 12th weekend there, so if anyone doesn't know, from Northern Ireland, we get the 12th and 13th off. This year it's actually because the 12th fell on a Sunday. We got the 13th and 14th, so it was a long bank holiday. We only decided to take one day off just because of how busy we are with the World Cup, and we're going to take the second holiday then later in the year. But it's been good so far. I'm looking forward to kind of getting out of this World Cup period and just getting back to business as usual. Kind of tired of it now, and England obviously got knocked out this week. By the time you're watching this, it'll be coming into the World Cup final or just past it, depending on how quick you are. But I think England going far was good for business, so was USA. I think England going out is maybe not as good for business, and so I'm a little bit disappointed. But that's their own fault, and I won't get into the politics of football. So I want to dive into software renewals. So when I was thinking of what did I talk about this week, one thing that had come across my desk and something I've been negotiating for about 6 weeks now was one of our biggest software bills, and kind of our agreements is up this year. So we've been with this software company for 3 years, and the service they provide is all right. Like the aftercare or after sales or whatever you want to call it has been kind of shit, but the product still works. So I don't know if it needs to be great. When we were talking about renegotiating the contract, we originally agreed when we signed up to be paying, I think, just the sum of like £3,000 a month, which is a lot of money. However, as time has gone on, they've tried to like upsell us into new stuff, which we haven't really accepted. But they purchased another company now who we had a deal with. It was kind of an connector to the software. So we've had a separate agreement. And so they've tried to roll everything up into one big package and charge us a ridiculous fee. I think they were trying to quote us like $5,500 a month. And when I seen that bill come through as them saying $5,500, and they were doing silly things. They were charging for like extra users. They were charging for features that we've never used and saying, oh, we're throwing this in for half the price. I really just pushed back heavy. And so maybe the first or second email, they didn't really accept it. But by the third or fourth, when I was explaining that at the end of the day, we started looking for other people and we were getting shafted by them, and that I thought the service after sales wasn't great. Then they started to come down, and finally they've accepted that the pricing should be the same as what it has been for the past 3 years. So I think a few things out of this is you're going to get price hiked by the software companies. They're always trying to like make their extra margin. It's easier making it off their normal customers. The second thing is there was another software vendor who was overbilling us, and I've noticed this with a few vendors now, that they just charge more and they think they can get away with it because no one's going through these invoices. And I caught this vendor last year charging like $6,000 extra. This year it's just under $2,000 extra they've charged us. So I've managed to get that changed. And after asking them the first time to cancel direct debit, and they didn't, they said they did, but they didn't, I've now got them on invoice and just paying by bank transfer. I think that's way better because it means you can audit every single invoice. I was speaking to someone this week who owns quite a big business, bigger than 20 mil a year, CEO of it, and he runs through every single invoice once a week that they pay out and just ensures everything is good with it. And he was saying, yes, it consumes time. You know, he's talking 45 minutes, maybe an hour to run through all these invoices. But he says, you know, it's so worth it because of the savings it makes, him spotting it, but also people in the company, when they're agreeing to different invoices, they know that this is going to get checked, so they have to be on it. And so I think we're kind of setting up something similar ourselves, be it with Friday payment runs, and it has to go through myself. So I am auditing the different invoices and making sure that they're good. But a few other bits. Talking on finance, I dived into the Nexus registration, and this is something our finance agency have been putting off for months. I hear them talking about it. Oh, we've had tax thresholds, we need to register, we've hit. I'll be okay, are we working on it? It's like, no, we haven't got it to this week. So this week I sat down, and I swear to God, it took me less than an hour to do it. Very simple. I was using the app they mentioned. Simple plug-in software, but it's dead easy, and you know, now we're all registered, so it seems quite simple. If you set up the right software, the software we're using is Neural, it auto files each month your tax liability, and it auto charges, I believe, the tax on the sales. I need to double check that last bit, but it seems like a good platform. It seems like it makes filing returns quite easy. So I'm happy with that. This leads me on to my next point. So recently I've started taking on more finance functions as I've offboarded the finance agency. And at the same time, something else has happened. So Erin, internally, who used to be my assistant, she's now moving into a content creation role, and she's going to lead that for us. These two things have led to me taking more and more and more on my plate, and I've started to get overwhelmed a little bit this week with just how much actual stuff I've been doing. And I do have a big to-do list, but when I was auditing the other day and I was thinking about it, a lot of the tasks I'm doing are one-off tasks or one-off fixes or one-off automations. You know, I'm building something that is a repeatable process. It means I don't have to actually get involved in it, or I'm doing something one-off that should have been done ages ago. And now I'm handling like those finances, those tax registrations. That's a one-off thing. And then going forward, it's automated. So I don't think at the minute I need to hire another person, like another EA. I think the EA could be useful again, because there's going to be certain things like travel and even my personal life that I'm going to need a bit of extra help with. But with the way AI is going, you can use an AI chatbot or, you know, a second brain for a lot of stuff. And then the finance function, it's just the bookkeeping and stuff like that. But I've automated, as I mentioned last week, a good part of this. So I don't think we need that. But I'm going to reserve judgment for a month, let myself work through these one-off tasks. And then I've started auditing in my calendar. So I've been putting in, you know, when I'm doing a task, I've been color coding the different things. So this is finance. This is like an EA activity. And then I'm just going to see how much of my week is taken up by these different things. And if it starts accumulating a lot, and we're still doing this, you know, in week 3 and week 4, because I know in the next 2 weeks it's going to be a lot. But still, if it's a lot in week 3, week 4, and week 5, then maybe it's time to look, okay, I need to hire a finance function, or I need to hire an assistant. I think this is probably the best way, now that I think about it, when we're always thinking about how do we hire a new function. There's 2 aspects to it. It's how do I take more off my plate? And then secondly, it's how do we try and do something new? So for instance, we hired someone to do with SEO and AEO because no one internally was doing it. And as I've been saying that, I've kind of been landing on that decision myself. But that is the process I'm going to work over the next couple of weeks. And if anyone similar is in their own boat, give it a go and see what they think. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about. Appreciate everyone who's been watching. There's not a lot of comments. If people have certain things they want me to show, I might get some more guest speakers back on. I was thinking about Connor, our head of ops, getting him on, speaking through how we've been running things. Appreciate everyone who's been watching. Drop feedback. I'll speak next week.